Weston.
John, this is Herb Maris. I just got a wire from Paul McKay. Listen to this. Imperative you come immediately, very ill. Must reveal truth about Costa case. Armiston not guilty. Address?
Dunes Cottage, Piper Beach, Florida. Yeah, I got the same message. Listen, I tried to reach McKay. His phone was out of order. And I found out that the nearest sheriff is 60 miles from there, and they've been alerted that a hurricane's heading their way, so he couldn't send out a man to check.
I don't want anyone else handling this. McKay wants to see us.
Listen, we don't even know if he sent those telegrams. And Herb, with a storm coming up...
You might get wet. Anyway, the case has been closed for 5 years. Never mind the arguments. I'll go myself.
Keep your shirt on, Herb. Listen, I was only trying to be logical. And, after all, what's a little hurricane when a client of yours is involved? I've booked 2 seats on the 7 a.m. flight.
Okay. I'll meet you at the airport. 5 years before, I had defended a man named Harry Amiston on a charge of murder. He was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment on the testimony of Paul McKay. Now McKay's telegram said he wanted to tell the truth.
I don't care how important it is. Piper Beach is a 2-hour drive from here in good weather. You gentlemen ever been caught in a hurricane before?
No, but if it doesn't get much worse than this...
Much worse. Mister, this isn't even a breeze compared to what's coming.
We're wasting time.
Listen, how bad does it get?
Well, let's say you're crossing the Keys on the open highway when it hits.
Yeah?
You'll hear something like nothing you've ever heard before. Then all of a sudden, your car is going to be lifted into the air like it was a piece of paper.
Oh, never mind. I get the idea. Well, Herb, nothing we can do but wait till it's over.
The highway might be impassable after a week. His wire says he's very ill. We can't wait that long.
Have you heard the girl? We can't make it.
Suppose we take the old swamp road. It's longer, but it offers protection from the wind. There wouldn't be any traffic.
Miss...
Mister, I'd like to get home.
Please?
You want to commit suicide? Here. I can't stop you. Fill this out.
You really going to try to make it?
No sense you're coming along.
Hell, you can say that again. Much further?
Shouldn't be.
You must have driven this before, Herb.
How'd you know?
Couldn't follow the curves in this miserable trail otherwise.
Twice.
All this way to see McKay, huh? What for?
See if he changed or add anything to his story. He didn't. Now, these telegrams put a different light on the matter.
If he sent them, why did he lie in the first place? He didn't even know Armiston or Costa.
I don't know. Now, that murder weapon was never found. Always wondered about that.
Can't see a thing in this miserable rain. Well, it seems to me we could have passed the McKay place by now. Well, hold it.
We made it.
Yeah. Who's that?
private residence. You've no right to force your way in.
Mr. McKay sent for us. My name is Maris. This is Lieutenant West.
Who are you? Harry Colton. McKay's son-in-law. It's my wife, Phyllis. I was trying to stop her from going for help. She couldn't have made it. We've had some trouble. Her father had an accident and
Mr. McKay? How seriously was he injured?
Is that the doctor? I'm afraid he's too late. Oh, it's Mr. Maris, the attorney. I remember you. How do you do?
Too late.
Yes, my husband just died.
What happened, Mrs. McKay?
I don't think I know this, gentleman.
Lieutenant West, Mrs. McKay.
How do you do, Lieutenant?
Would you tell me what happened?
Well, my husband had been ill for some time. It was his heart, you know, and he died very peacefully.
my wife's very upset. I'd like to take her to her room.
Just a minute. You said Mr. McKay had an accident.
What? Well, he fell.
I told you my husband died of a heart attack, Mr. Maris.
Before he died, did he say why he'd sent for us?
He'd sent for you? No, I didn't know that he'd sent for you. Is that the reason you're here?
Did he mention wanting to tell the truth about the Costa murder?
My father was a good man. He'd never sent an innocent man to prison.
He did say something, Mrs. Holden.
I was with him when he died. His last words were that he'd originally told the truth.
It must have troubled him if those were his last words.
I don't know. The man's dead now. If you'll excuse us.
May we see your husband, Mrs. McKay?
Why do you want to see him? I told you he's dead.
We understand that. If you don't mind.
I understand you. You want to pay your last respects.
Yes, in a way.
All right, would you just put your things over there? He's upstairs.
I realize how difficult this is. Mr. McKay, how did he get that cut on his forehead?
Well, Paul had been sleeping most of the day, and according to Eric, when the storm started, he awakened. I suppose it startled him, and he suddenly jumped out of bed, fell, and hit himself.
Where did he fall?
Eric said that he hit himself in the bureau.
Excuse me. What happened to the room, Mrs. McKay?
The room? How strange. Do you think he could have been looking for something?
Who, Eric?
Oh, I see what you mean. No. He was probably looking for some pills that he couldn't find of Paul's. Yes, that was it, because that was why Phyllis ran outside and tried to go to town to get them. Well, gentlemen, if that's all...
Mrs. McKay, how sick was your husband?
6 months ago, the doctor told me that he couldn't last the year. And 2 weeks ago, he suffered a severe stroke, and I know that the end was near.
But could we talk to your son-in-law now?
Yes, I'll get him. You can wait in the library.
Cut on his forehead?
Superficial. He couldn't have gotten it falling against that bureau.
How do you know?
All the edges are smooth. Even the corners are rounded.
Why are they lying to us? What's happened?
This explains why the phone was out of order last night. But why would anyone cut it?
To keep him from phoning after they found out he'd sent us the telegrams?
You want to see me?
What happened to the phone, Eric?
I'll be darned.
Let's stop playing games. This cord was cut.
What's going on, Holden?
Well, there's no sense trying to hide anything. I should have told you the truth right off the bat, but I didn't want to hurt Phyllis. Agree?
No, thanks.
Well, the truth is, the old man sort of went out of his mind toward the end. He kept saying all kinds of gibberish.
What do you mean by gibberish?
Well, you know, completely senseless. Talking about things that happened 20 years ago as if it was happening now, and he kept sneaking in here to call people. Well, I finally had to cut the wire to stop him.
I see. I guess that explains the papers strewn around his room. Did he do that, too?
Yeah, no rhyme or reason for it at all.
According to your mother-in-law, you did that. She said you were looking for something.
Well, the note for the money I owe him, well, she's wrong, and I'll pay every cent of it as soon as I can.
How much was the note for?
$75,000. I need it for my business, but I'll pay it back. I didn't touch anything in his room.
You didn't even look for pills.
Well, what for? He was dead.
How did he die?
How did he die? He had a heart attack. I mean, that cut in his forehead. Well, he fell out of bed when the attack came on.
Eric, we've given you a couple of chances to tell the truth. I guess you just don't want to, is that it? What are you holding back?
It's all right, Eric. You can tell them.
Shut up, shut up. Phyllis, you let her talk, Eric.
I did it.
Whatever Phyllis had wanted to say was lost in the roar of the wind. Now, as we watched Eric revive her, it suddenly occurred to us that the girl was suffering from more than just grief. It was as if she had experienced a traumatic shock.
That's enough. She's coming around.
I don't want to question, understand?
What was she trying to tell us?
I don't know. She doesn't know anything.
I had a terrible nightmare. I killed my father.
It's just a nightmare, darling. Everything's all right. You close your eyes.
But it seemed so real. We were at Mother and Father's place. My father and I were in the library. He hit his head against the corner of the desk.
It didn't happen, Phyllis. Get it out of your mind. You don't want to remember. Understand? You don't want to remember.
Look here. Traces of blood.
It might be dangerous to question her at the state she's in now.
What do we do? He's trying to make her forget whatever it was that happened.
Apparently, she doesn't know where she is. Maybe if I get her mother.
Good idea.
They're Paul's papers. I was passing by and the door was open and they were burning.
You're implying that either Phyllis or her husband did this?
Mr. Maris, Phyllis isn't well. She does so many strange, unaccountable things these days.
She was in the library with her father, wasn't she? She tried to stop him from using the phone. That was when he died, wasn't it, Mrs. McKay? Why did she try and stop him?
Please, Mr. Maris, don't ask me. I'm her mother.
Let's go to the library, Mr. McKay. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. Or just a nightmare. Or it's all forgotten.
Yes. All forgotten.
Phyllis, your mother wants to talk to you. You're in Florida, in your mother's home. Talk to her.
Phyllis, dear, it's all right. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Why did Phyllis burn your husband's papers?
I don't know.
Why did she stop your husband from using the phone?
Please don't ask me these questions. I don't know.
Mrs. McKay, your husband fell when he was in this room. Will you tell me what happened?
I don't know. I don't know.
Phyllis, you're in the library. What happened here between you and your father? That's your father's portrait, isn't it? Are you in his library? Remember when your father had that portrait painted? It was when he decided to go into politics, wasn't it? Just about the time that Costa was murdered.
Costa.
No, Phyllis, you keep out of this.
Costa. You remember? It was 5 years ago. A man named Harry Armiston was convicted of that murder.
Armiston?
He was an unemployed clerk who'd invested his life savings in a stock deal that Costa had promoted. The stock was worthless. He went to Costa's office one night and demanded his money back. Your father was in his office across the hall. He said he heard Armiston threaten Costa. Then there was a shot, and Armiston ran out. The police picked Armiston up later that night. In his panic, he'd left his worthless stock certificates there with his name on. Armiston swore that Costa was there when he entered the room, dead. He was killed by a .22 caliber bullet. The murder weapon was never found. Armiston was convicted on the strength of your father's testimony.
Father didn't know either one of them. He didn't want to testify. He dropped out of politics right after the case. Eric was working with him. That's when I met Eric.
Think hard, Phyllis. Your father wanted to change his story the night that he died. What happened?
It didn't really happen. Eric told me. It was a nightmare.
It was a nightmare, Phyllis. Don't leave her alone.
What was your nightmare, Phyllis? Tell us.
We were in Florida. Father was very ill. He asked me to send 2 telegrams. They were identical. I sent them. Then, a storm was coming up. Father was afraid the men he was expecting wouldn't arrive in time. He asked me to help him to the phone. It was in the library. Then he discovered the line was cut.
Never mind, Phil. It's all right, dear. It's all right.
He had a heart attack. He fell and hit his head against the corner of the desk. I want to get help. He says Wait. I want to tell you something. Aniston didn't do it. The proof is in the letters. Oh, Father's dead. It's my fault.
No, Phyllis, it's not your fault.
I didn't catch him when he fell.
That cut on his forehead didn't kill him. He knew he was going to die. He was trying to tell the truth. You were helping him, Phyllis. What was the proof that he was talking about?
I don't know.
The murder weapon.
Phyllis, did he tell you what the proof was?
She's told you all she knows. It's the truth, she was with her father.
You know what the truth was that he was talking about, Mrs. McKay, don't you?
No, I don't know. No,
It wasn't until he died, and Phyllis told you what he said, that you knew that he'd kept that murder weapon all these years. You searched his room. You got the phone. You burned his papers.
I did it to protect Phyllis. She idolized her father, and I knew what it would do to her if she found out that her father was a murderer.
Your husband killed Costa.
No. No. My father wouldn't murder anybody.
Phyllis, dear, you don't understand.
Mrs. McKay, there was no connection between your husband and Costa. We checked.
Oh, yes, there was. Costa had proof. It was a long time ago, and Paul was involved innocently as a silent partner in one of Costa's stock swindles. He broke away. He tried to make amends. And one day Costa showed up.
Blackmail?
Yes, he found out that my husband was going to run for politics, and he declared himself in. Paul's whole future was at stake. He had no alternative, don't you see? He had to kill him.
What did he mean when he said the proof is in the letters?
Oh, I don't know. How would I know? I don't know.
Thank you. We made it fine.
You mean you got there all right?
It was a breeze, as they say.
Matter of fact, miss, you were wrong. The car didn't go like this at all.
It didn't?
Uh-uh. It was more like this.